Good morning and welcome to the My School live broadcast of King Edward VII and St John's annual fixture. Today we are live at the Wynberg Astro at King Edward and anticipating a really good game of hockey between these two traditional rivals. My name is Trevor Dedlow, and sitting with me at the commentary table I have the future legend of South African hockey, Daniel Bell, sitting next to me. Welcome Daniel, good morning.
Yeah, thank you Trevor. I'm looking forward to a great day of hockey and being able to speak about some impressive youngsters coming through the ranks.
Fantastic, Daniel. Really nice to have you with us, and I think particularly poignant to have Daniel Bell as our co-commentator this morning. Daniel is a very proud old boy of King Edward, matriculated in 2012, first capped oddly enough in 2009, where he started his 3 years as a first team member against St John's College. Must be fairly interesting to come back and commentate on a game against your first team cap.
Yeah, it's quite something. I remember when I first ran on for the first team, it was quite something. As a grade 9, you run on with just passion and you're running through walls for your team and for your school. So looking forward to seeing the same displayed on the pitch today.
Well, Daniel, I'm looking forward to sitting next to you today. I last actually saw you on television watching you play in Australia in the Commonwealth Games, and I'm looking forward to the expertise that you'll bring to this broadcast today. Perhaps a little bit more about you, if you're not too embarrassed to talk about your achievements. Daniel, I think you started in the national squad in 2015. That was after representing South Africa in the Junior World Cup in India in 2013 and the World Student Games in Russia in the same year. And then really of interest, I guess, the Africa Cup of Nations, 2015 and 2017, member of the gold medal winning squad, and I think that must have been particularly exciting for you.
It really was. The Africa Cup is quite a special tournament. You play against teams that you don't normally play, and it's nice to see the growth, especially from 2015 to 2017 in the African team. So it's a great positive for Africa, and hopefully we can become more competitive on the world stage.
Fantastic, Daniel. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, 2018 we saw you playing at the Commonwealth Games, and I think it's really nice for the boys to have you commentating today, because you are a role model for many of them, and many of them seek to emulate your achievements. And I must say, in 5 short years, you've achieved a great deal. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I've been very privileged to have experienced what I've done, and I think it's definitely through my schooling and the mindset that I learnt at KES has helped me through my career. So hopefully the guys have the same mindset, and I think anything's possible if you're willing to put in the hard work.
Fantastic, Daniel, and I think, as I said, a really good role model to all the youngsters out there, be they from King Edward or St John's today. I think also what's really nice to see is currently you're making a living playing pro hockey in Belgium for Gantoise in the beautiful little student town of Ghent. Been there myself quite often, lovely town. Tell us a little bit about being able to make a living out of your passion.
Well, it's very lucky. I think there's not many people will be able to do the thing they love, so it's going into my third season in August, and it's nice to play a different style of hockey, play against different players, and kind of see where the top teams in the world how they train, and yeah, it's a good experience. I think I went after my studies down in Stellenbosch. I thought get the degree first and then go over, and also a little bit more mature and a more experienced hockey player, so I can take full advantage of my time.
So quite phenomenal gentlemen. Nice to see the boys from both schools paying tribute. And it would look as though we're about ready to get the game underway. Just a little bit about this rivalry and traditional fixture. Before we do that, let's go to the team sheets. King Edward the 7th, first 11. In goal today, Kyle Coker. Perhaps you could pick up some of the other players there, Daniel.
Number 13, Ryan Kant. I actually played with his brother in my matric year, so looking forward to see what he has to offer. Stephen was quite a skillful player, so I'm sure his brother is the same player.
Great, and if we look at the captain, Michael van den Berg, currently also made it into the Gauteng Provincial A side, and then vice-captain Joshua Finley, two really skilled players, and I think ably backed up by some real talent across the rest of the side. Looking at number 2, Keegan Robertson, and some of the other players in the King Edward side, but we'll talk about them as the game begins. The St John's College first 11, Ryan, any standout players there for you?
Tumi Ramapele seems the captain. It looks like a promising aspect for SA Hockey, so looking forward to see what he has to offer. And yeah, I think they look like quite a well-structured outfit. I know that this will be quite a rivalry match. They recently played each other in the Aiken Cup, and St. John's getting the better of them on the day. So we'll look to see if Gez has a little fight back to show them that was a mistake.
Yeah, it's a 1-1 result so far for this season. King Edward having beaten St. John's in one fixture, and then St. John's taking the second one. As the game gets underway, I think the boys getting in a few early touches to settle the nerves. Not quite sure that the same applies to the two coaches, Colin Fielding on the King Edward bench and Andy Eldred on the St. John's bed. I guess they'd love to have a hockey stick in hand.
Yes, of course. As a coach, you want to run on and play for the team. Restricted to your box, as frustrating as it may be sometimes.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right, and obviously the game now just underway, ball being spread around. Looks like some nice structure from the King Edward team, bit of composure on the ball.
Yes.
Looks as though structure's working well. Daniel, any comments on the early play?
Yeah, I think Kez had some good possession down the right-hand channel, and they've actually dominated the first few stages of the game. I think St. John's team, and they've just won a penalty corner. So great start for King Edward.
Right, fantastic. And I see Crispin McKenzie, number 6 for King Edward, striding forward. Wonder if he'll be involved in the penalty corner.
A quick team huddle to decide what they're going to do at the PC.
Great. Really, really good to see a bit of early pressure converted into an opportunity on goal. Daniel, tell me a little bit about short corners. You must have faced plenty of them in your time.
I've faced, and I'm also one of the drag flickers, so I'm on the receiving and on the giving end. It's quite a fun aspect of the game, and a good low drag flick.
Yeah, that was Michael van den Berg, captain of the King Edward side, and the penalty corner all comes to no avail. King Edward still with possession, and let's see how the game unfolds from here. Joshua Finley, a very, very skillful hockey player who's just played the ball into the D, unfortunately lifted, and possession reverts to St. John's.
It's really good pressure from Kez in the first 5 minutes or so. As a coach, that's what you want, for them to start well. You don't want to have them start on a bad note and playing catch-up, so Kez doing really well.
Daniel, perhaps just for our viewers, you could do wonderful save there by Carl Coker in the King Edward goal, but the pressure has not yet moved away.
Well defended by King Edward.
Absolutely. Now Bile Selepe on the ball, plays the ball up there to Michael van den Berg. Unfortunately, St. John's intercept the possession and now move down the right-hand side of the field. Some good play, but defensively King Edward seemed to be well structured and marshalled and seemed to be on top of the situation.
Of course, I think you can see that Kez has the home ground advantage. Comfortable on the field and really settled and feel quite at ease this morning. So great to see.
Great. And Ian Crawshaw with the free hit, and unfortunately the ball has moved out into touch, and St. John's will restart the game. We can see the replay there. It was a wonderful save that Carl Coker effected there, and I think that's probably why he's sitting in the Gauteng Provincial A side.
Yes, and also well cleaned up by the defenders. You expect your keeper to make the save, but the keeper expects the defenders to clean up around him. He's made the save, so well done.
So good hockey all in all.
Yes, of course.
And King Edward now starting to build as they trough from the back. Again, some very nice composure shown by both sides. I think a great deal of awareness in the field.
Great composure and great technique by the captain.
Great. Any of these players that you might be looking forward to playing in the Olympic Games with one day?
Oh, we'll have to see after today.
Putting you on the spot there. Great, very, very, very nice play. Very nice play from King Edward.
Yeah. But I'd love to have a few more Kez boys in the national team. At the moment, I'm the only one, so it would be nice to have that rivalry a little mate to help with the other
Absolutely.
teammates.
I have no doubt, I think with some of the boys on display today, I have no doubt that your wish will come true. Yeah. Really nice play there. Do you see an apparent structure the two coaches are trying to impart in the game at this stage, Daniel?
At the moment, I think Kes are in a back four, looking to attack down the outside with an overlapping defender, which is quite a good tactic. I think they have a good, strong middle of the field with the captain. Seems like quite a solid player. So we'll see how it works. St. John's defending quite deep. Not really putting pressure on the King Edward back four, so King Edward can dictate the play a little bit.
Looks to me like St. John's have set their store out to actually perhaps try and play on the counter, see if they can intercept the ball and then move it upfield very quickly. Great save by Carl Coker again. Right, we have young Keegan Robertson on the ball now, the obvious outlet here to Ryle Rijkaard. A very dynamic player, Ryle, brings a lot of energy to the field when he plays. Quite aggressive in his play, but I think very well controlled in the aggression. Captain Michael van den Berg now to Stephen Newland-Nell. They trough at the back, and again there's that patience. Crispin McKenzie plays across to Ian Crawshaw. It's a great ball in.
Oh, good little touch.
Oh, fantastic play.
Great play.
Is that the kind of basic hockey that you expect to see from first teams and the sort of skills you'd like to see?
Of course. I think the standard of first team hockey, because it's become more and more competitive, the standard has lifted. So it's great to see. I would hope that when I was at school that we were playing this style of hockey, but this is very impressive to watch.
Well, to be honest with you, Daniel, I watched you play and I can confirm you were quite breathtaking to watch with hockey stick in hand.
Well, that's great to know.
Stephen Newland-Nell under a little bit of pressure. Great to see the boys working off the ball to provide an outlet. Good play there by Crispin McKenzie. And unfortunately, King Edward dispossessed. Number 13 there for St. John's on the ball. Nick Halstead-Cleek. And the ball has gone out of play. King Edward to restart.
I think King Edward are doing really well with holding the possession. I think they're getting caught out just trying to force the pass too much, and St. John's are looking to intercept, so they must be careful and not get too lazy with doing the simple things right.
I see a good high press here from St. John's, and that's been effective. Exactly what you were talking about.
Oh, and a hard shot there, just a little bit over the crossbar.
I get the feeling over the last 2 or 3 minutes that St. John's have come a little bit more into the game. I think they sat back and wanted to see how King Edward would play. And it looks now that they have gone for that, for that system of pressing quite high, putting pressure on the King Edward's team at the back, looking for the interception. King Edward's now, fantastic save from the goalkeeper. Great save as well.
Great play there. And what's nice about the player shooting is looking to play his teammates on the far post, looking for the tip in, and got a penalty caught over it.
Fantastic. Right, if we look at that replay, talk us through this, Daniel.
As you can see, he's looking and he's hitting the ball bottom left, and there he has a player getting a touch, getting it off the keeper and winning a penalty corner. So really well done by King Edward.
And again, despite the fact that the advantages with King Edward, some very good play from the St. John's defenders. I saw exactly what you're referring to with the defender cleaning up. But great play by Ethan Chilvers in the St. John's goal. Let's see if he can keep a clean sheet against this penalty corner. Great play from King Edwards. I think we'll get a replay of that coming up shortly, but well executed penalty corner. Daniel, if you could pick up the technicalities.
Yeah, it was a great variation. St. John's looks to have a good first wave, so that's why they slipped it to their left and looked for the deflection on the stroke point. As you can see, the good stop, a push behind the flicker, slap, and into the goals. Really
fantastic goal scored there. Do you think that will have a material impact on the manner in which St. John's play at this stage, perhaps? Maybe needing to, to come out and play a little bit more in the centre of the field?
Of course. Going down in the first few minutes is always tough, but they do have time, so they shouldn't panic. They should trust the process and keep playing their style of hockey.
Some very good play there from St John's on the overlap, and if they convert this, unlucky for St John's there, they had two open men in the middle of the D, but that was good basic hockey being played.
Yeah, I think St John's are looking really good on the counter. I think they're creating a lot of opportunities, so kids must watch out and maybe have their counter cover just to protect that impressive counter.
Oh, great. Ball played to the number 4 from St John's, that Murray Ditmar, and he's in possession, looking for an outlet. Ball goes through to number 6 from St John's. That was Turi Pele, the captain, and he wins the free hit. Ditmar on the ball again. Is that a little bit of a hit and hope, that, Daniel, or do you think that's part of their structured play?
I think it's a little bit of a hit and hope. As a defender, you're wanting to play to your attackers in the circle, but unfortunately they're a little bit too high in the circle. I think they need to be a little bit deeper on the far post, and they can easily deflect that. I think trying to stop that under control is a bit tough. Even at international level, you wouldn't really look to play that. But it's good to see that they're wanting to play forward and looking to get that goal back.
Some good hockey being played there. King Edward fighting for the ball. Good defending from St John's, and the free hit going to King Edward. And then he'll just listening to all the schoolboys cheering for their teams and the war cries must bring back memories for you.
It really does. I wish I was out there playing right now.
What sort of an impact does it have for you as a player on the field?
Well, it's an unreal experience. It's obviously your mates on the stand and they're cheering for you, and it's kind of like that 12th man helping you out on the field. And for St John's, it must be quite tricky, especially defending where the Cares boys are standing. So they must be under a lot of pressure at the moment.
All right. And I'm guessing that kind of passion that you experienced in school prepared you well for the national arena and the international arena? Of
course. It's being able to play your normal game under pressure, and nothing like playing in front of schoolboys and a special rivalry schoolboys to kind of calm the nerves or make sure you're mentally set.
Great. I'm always actually intrigued about the difference between international hockey and schoolboy hockey. Obviously, we have the pride and the passion, and I think to a large extent, you really want to work the players up and have them on fire before they play. I would imagine at international level, it's more about controlling the nerves and and being relaxed when you go onto the field.
I think there is a bit of calmness, but there is also a bit of passion playing for your country. Obviously, you take great pride in representing your country and even your school. So, yeah, there's a bit of both. I think it's a little bit more controlled, and I think you have more experience in controlling the passion. So you're still mentally focused during with your passion.
Great.
So it's not controlling you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think most international sportsmen would agree with you on that. The ball unfortunately lost by St John's, and King Edward's will restart from the back. Just an observation, Daniel, when St John's are in possession in their own half of the field, it doesn't appear as though King Edward's are pressing too high. Would there be a reason for that?
They're probably holding out because of St John's is really good on the counter, so kind of closing down the space in their own half, allowing them to play St John's play in their own half, and they can't score from their half. So it might be a tactic just to close down the spaces and make it easier for Cares to defend.
Okay. And St John's back in possession, now high in the King Edward half. Ball played out to number 12, Sean Jacobs, on the left-hand side of the field. This captain of St John's, Tumi Rampela, he's quite an impressive player. Seems to be quite dynamic, quite aggressive on the ball.
Yes, yeah, he looks like a very skillful player. Good pace, and he likes to attack on the outside. So it's great to see. I think the Cares opposition player should really make sure he's switched on, defending him.
Great play there from St John's. Again, would appear to me as though they're finding space out wide, particularly on the right-hand side, and I think there might be some alarm bells there for King Edward.
I think so. I think sure Colin Fielding is seeing what's happening on the pitch, and will make the necessary changes when new players come on.
How much of the game is dictated by the coach and the structure the team plays, and how much of it is individual, Daniel?
Look, I think at the lower levels, it's the coach plays a big part. But the higher levels, things happen so much quicker, and you need to be making on-the-field decisions. So it's more becomes the player's responsibility to be able to change structures or certain presses within the guidelines of course.
All right, great. And there's some really good play from the captain of St. John's. Again, very forceful player, and obviously with great skill as well. Looks like he's got hands for days, which I think is something the young boys always want. But perhaps the passing game is something that needs to be more ingrained.
Of course.
St. John's enjoying a bit of possession at this stage, putting some pressure onto King Edward.
Oh, well defended. I think Cares knowing the rule that you need to be 5 meters from the ball and retreating, and then once they've retreated the 5 meters, making the tackle. So good discipline from the King Edward defensive line.
Fantastic. Michael Newland-Nell, the captain, Michael van den Berg, captain of King Edward, dispossessed, and again the captain of St. John's in possession. Some forceful play from St. John's. Oh, very good play from St. John's.
You could see it building up. I think St. John's were putting a lot of pressure on the defensive line for Kes, and they finally got the result they wanted.
Great play there. Goal scored by the number 10 from St. John's, Ross Morsehead. But again, really good play from the captain. And I think what's of concern for King Edwards is the number of players that St. John's are getting in behind, and the defence are not picking them up.
Yes, I think Kes is getting a bit stretched at the moment. Players aren't getting back, but as we can see on the replay, players not getting to position quick enough, a ball into the circle, and a player unmarked on the far post. Really, really well done by St. John's.
Lovely skill from Ross Morsehead to just lift the ball without stopping it, and obviously aware of the fact that the keeper would be on the ground in that position. So good goal. And in this traditional rivalry, if you've just joined us, welcome to the My School Sport live broadcast. You have Trevor Dedlow and Daniel Bell on commentary. Score right now 1-1 between the two teams midway through the first half.
I think that goal by St. John's would have settled the nerves for them, and I think we're going to have some good hockey from them.
Great. We're looking forward to it. For me, this is not so much a traditional sports fixture. I think it's more of a celebration of the very best that school sport has to offer between two traditional rivals. Great play from St. John's.
Great shot and great save. So good hockey all around.
Now we've got Bile Selepe, who's one of the links, playing very deep in the King Edward half. Do you think St. John's putting pressure onto King Edwards has forced them perhaps to play a little deeper?
I think so. I think King Edward are a little bit rattled with the extra pressure, and they're not playing that controlled hockey that they did in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the match. So I think they need to regroup, reset, and just start making simple passes to gain the momentum again.
And settle down and go back to basics, I think, is the message. Right, Crispin McKenzie about to take the free hit. That's Luke Campbell, who's come on as a substitute. Crispin McKenzie in the ball unfortunately lost there to St. John's, who will build again from the back. Detmar, number 4 from St. John's, in possession. Took a little too long with his pass, and he's lost the ball. Nathaniel de Swart, the number 9 for King Edwards there. Nice and forceful on the ball. Goal scorer from St. John's.
Oh, and a great ball, just unfortunately not picked up by the St. John's player. You can see the goal gave the player quite a lot of confidence.
That was Brandon Vermeulen, the number 9 from St. John's, obviously berating himself. What's the process you go through on the field, Ross, when you feel you've made a mistake, and how do you not allow that to impact on the next 5 minutes of play? Sorry, Daniel.
You kind of have to move on. Look, everyone makes mistakes, but it's what you do after you made the mistake which makes the biggest difference. So it's moving on, or if you're really in a dip, looking to your teammates to help pick you up, or a little breather on the bench, a cold cold sip of water to just refocus and yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right, some good approach play again from St John's. Again, the captain of St John's very instrumental in that play. King Edward's need to make sure they're picking up the wide players, and otherwise I have the feeling that St John's is starting to grow a little bit in confidence in this game.
Well defended by Keegan Robinson there, just a little bit too hard in his tackle, so conceding the foul against. Looks like King Edward's a little bit more composed at the back and stopping St John's impressive counter-attack at the moment.
Great deal of pressure on the boys who play at the back at this level, I would imagine. You know.
Of course, as a defender myself, you learn to play under pressure. It's all perceived pressure. I think that's what St John's are trying to do. Stepping up higher, you think you're under a little bit more pressure than you do, but you do have that extra second to look up and make a good pass.
Absolutely. Right, Warren Teal there, just giving the ball away off of his foot. And now the number 7 from St John's, who appears to be becoming more instrumental in the game. That is young Connor Esterhazen. Detmar from St John's on the ball again. Great pass.
St John's slowing things down a little bit, just trying to reset.
They seem to have a clear strategy to push the ball out wide.
I think so. They've gone into a back three, St John's. So they've creating the space on the outside for their outside midfielders to drop into the pockets that they've created. So there is space there, and it's effective. So why not play the space?
Absolutely. I'm fond of saying to the younger boys that hockey is a game of space, and I think the under 14s and 15s take some time to learn that.
Of course, hockey is actually quite a simple sport, but we make it difficult for ourselves. So
absolutely. I think the maturity does assist in the game, but
of course,
I think a very good demonstration of both hockey tactics as well as skill here today.
Of course, two great coaches. As you said in the beginning, 17 provincial players on display today, so it's going to be quite something to watch.
King Edward's again showing that composure, no way forward, so they come back and just build from the back again.
Good composure by Keegan Robinson.
Absolutely. Young Stephen Newland-Nell, number 8, on the ball. You made the comment earlier about, his composure. It's interesting to note that these boys, of course, don't just play hockey as you yourself didn't when you were at school. Stephen Newland-Nell, one of our academic colorsmen, so, you'd kind of expect that his thought process was perhaps a little bit better.
I would say. It's always nice, as a defender, you need to be, you tend to be the smarter ones, if I can say myself.
We won't let the strikers view this broadcast.
Yes, the defenders normally control the game a little bit more, assess what the opponent's team is doing, and seeing what options they have and trying to execute that. So you tend to be a little bit more sharp and in the game.
Of course, the Lynx will tell you that they are the players who dominate the game and create the opportunities.
I guess it depends what line you find yourself in, and you think your line's the most important.
All right, and overhead there, perhaps Stanley, if you wouldn't mind just running through the rule, with a lifted or an overhead pass. We see that the possession has reverted to King Edward's there. What is the rule about the overhead pass?
So to eradicate danger, there's a rule that once an overhead's thrown, the player underneath the ball needs to be given 5 meters from all the players, just to prevent players coming in and creating danger. And if there are 2 players standing in the same great skill down the left-hand touchline here.
Yeah, that's the captain Rampele again. He really is a very good player. And now we have the King Edward captain on the ball, Michael Vandenberg, head up, looking for the options. Daniel,
Oh.
you do see sometimes in hockey, I think as we've just witnessed in the D there as well, physical presence is part of the game, isn't it?
Of course, it's knowing how much you can give and what is a little bit too much. But it is quite a contact sport, especially in the circle. It gets quite physical and dominating your space. As myself, I'm quite a physical player, so I like to dominate and get shoulder to shoulder with my attacking or my opposing forward. So yeah. It's and also coming from Cairns, we're quite a hard school, I would say, and quite a tough team to play. So I learned to be quite physical and quite hard, and make it as tough as possible for the player I'm marking.
Right, and perhaps just for the viewers who are not familiar with hockey, so what would be too much in terms of physical dominance in the D?
I think as soon as your elbow or your hand starts pushing the player over, I think that would be a little bit too much. Within reason, if you're going to shoulder, there's obviously intent to play the ball and also to play the man. So I think playing the ball and having a physical presence is all right, but as soon as you're looking to play the man and not the ball, then there's an issue.
Must be quite frustrating playing at the back if you have umpires who interpret the game slightly differently.
Of course, it's obviously umpiring is quite a tough job, and they don't get the credit they deserve. So it's all down to interpretation and a lot of grey area, and what they see is what should be, I guess.
Absolutely, and of course at this level we have 2 union-appointed umpires, so they are neutral and highly qualified to take these games.
Yes, of course. These 2 umpires also umpired at quite a high level at the varsity cups and at the provincial level, so there shouldn't be any discussion about bad umpiring after the game today.
Fantastic. Right, and I think the game at the moment, really just becoming one of a tactical nature. I think the 2 teams really just a little bit of cut and thrust. Both sides, I think, finding it quite difficult to hold possession of the ball.
You'll tend to find that towards the end of the half, players start getting tired. Mentally, guys aren't switched on as much, and they're looking forward to that little break at halftime, and a reset and a tactical reshuffle.
Great, and it's just the opportunity to sit down with your coach and have a look at what the opponents are doing, and perhaps put countermeasures into place.
Yes.
Right, it's just almost 3 minutes to go in the first half. And if you've just joined us, welcome to the My School live broadcast of the King Edward and St John's first team hockey game. Currently we're 1-1. I'm Trevor Dedlow, and I have Daniel Bell with me in the commentary, or at the commentary table.
The umpire's having to step in. The game's getting a little bit out of hand, a little bit off the ball stuff, but just to control and make sure the boys know who's in charge.
Absolutely, and again, not surprising to see at first team level.
Yes.
Both teams have everything to play for. I think the passion and the pride, I think, is very evident in in the manner in which they play.
Of course.
And Daniel, with just under 3 minutes to go to the break, at this particular point in time, would you as a coach be looking at any particular strategy to perhaps expose the lack in concentration of a team?
Or as we can see, King Edward have done that and got a penalty corner against St John's. A little disappointing for the St John's coach, but I'm sure Colin Fielding is very happy with the last minute PC.
Great, and as a defender, what would be going through your mind now after the first goal was scored from a penalty corner?
I'd be a little bit more switched on, a little bit nervous, and hoping to intercept the ball.
Would you expect to see a similar variation, or perhaps just a straight hit off the first castle?
I would expect something different, knowing the St John's have now seen the variation, so they would know how to defend it. So hopefully we see something different.
Okay, well, let's see how the penalty corner plays out. Very unlucky there for King Edward. Ball rebounding off the crossbar. Daniel, just talk me through the decision of the umpire there.
So the ball was lifted off the crossbar, and it's dangerous. So King Edward ball, and it looks like it was the same penalty corner. So I was wrong with that one. St. John's
Guess
weren't
it's a
ready
bit
for that.
bit of a guessing game, I guess,
Yes.
when you're defending these things.
The double bluff.
Absolutely. Ball about to be injected again. Let's see if there's a variation. This time we go for the straight shot. Great save by Ethan Chilvers in the St. John's goal. I've always felt a little sorry for defenders in hockey, to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure how you can avoid lifting a ball when it's hit off your stick or smacked directly into your foot.
It's just one of those things that's unfortunate. You look to, or you get hit quite a bit, so you get used to it. It's just your reaction times improve, so you try not make those mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, looking at the international level, at the speed that some of those balls come in, I'm not sure your reaction time can be fast enough.
Yeah, well, actually, funny story. I think the higher you play, the less you get hit, because the players are more skilled and they have more control over the ball. So it's actually, I would say, safer. When things go wrong, they obviously are a little bit more serious. But at the lower levels, players not a little bit unsure what they're doing, don't have the control they need, and that's when players start lifting the ball and injuries happen.
Fair enough. I think that holds true with most sports. I think,
yes, of course.
The better the level, I think the less injury. Right, we've arrived at half time. Just to recap quickly, we're at the Wynberg Astro at King Edward, watching the My School live broadcast of King Edward versus St. John's. First team hockey. Currently the scores are 1-1. Very good early dominance from King Edward, resulted in a conversion of a penalty corner. And as the game has progressed, St. John's have come out a little more and clearly have a tactic to catch King Edward on the break. They're exposing them out wide in the channels, and it'll be interesting to see what changes the coaches make.
Yeah, I think it was a half of two halves, if you could say. King Edward dominating in the first 15, and then St. John's coming back for the last 15. So it'll be an interesting second half.
Great. Would you expect to see any changes made by the coaches at this point?
I think for Cares just to reset and kind of gain that momentum again, and then for St. John's to capitalise a little bit more. They haven't been they've entered the circle a lot, but they haven't got rewards from it. So I think the coach, Andy, will be asking his players to get some rewards, some penalty corners, shots on target, just so they can get a few goals.
Fantastic. It's a very tight game at this stage. Lovely to see the visuals of the schoolboys out supporting their teams. And, again, Daniel Bell, very proud King Edward Old Boy and current member of the South African national squad. Daniel, for many of these boys out here, this is the biggest moment of their lives. And you must have felt the same way when you ran out for your school.
Of course. There's something special playing for your school. I honestly miss it. Playing for something that you love and almost adore, and have your mates on the side, playing for your mates on the field. It's great. And then you're also playing against some of the guys playing provincial together. You're playing against one another, and as you know, playing against your mate, you go a little bit harder, and you want to get that win over them just for some bragging rights.
Liberty is excited to be the sponsor of School Sport Live. We recognize the need to bring the games or this platform to our households, and better yet, to bring it through to everybody in the world. The significance of school sport in the building of character and leadership is something that we value. We are also big supporters of families, communities, and bringing all of those things together. So we are proud that we can be involved in this activity. From myself, Carlo Gill, and all the guys at Liberty, we wish all the teams really good luck today and all the best.
He gets ready for Saturday morning cricket an hour before he has to. He practices his swing, telling anyone who'll listen that one day he'll face the best cricketers in the world. His dad hasn't told him yet that they've got tickets to the upcoming test match. Protect your future memories by ensuring the one thing that makes your son's dreams possible: your income. Follow the link to learn more about Liberty's income protection. Liberty, the advantage of knowing.
Ty masz ty do kop. Dear Mr. Rabada.
What's up, Mr. Amla?
With all due respect, your days are numbered.
Your time is running out. Tick-tock.
Tick-tock. Boy.
Time's up.
Sure, you could.
But I can be better. You just don't know it yet. Wake up. You better watch out.
Don't be fooled by my age.
Or my size. Or my puppy fat.
Or where I'm from.
Now, kita set the record setting. Crazy records. I will show the world what can be achieved.
It might be difficult for you to accept,
But I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you.
I am coming for you.
Right, and welcome back to the My School Live broadcast of the game between King Edward and St John's. First team hockey currently being broadcast. I'm Trevor Dedlow, and with me at the commentating table is current South African hockey player Daniel Bell. Very good first half. We had periods of dominance by both teams and currently have a score of 1-1. Your thoughts on the first half, Daniel?
I think the captains are leading by example. Michael and Tumi are really, you can see they're influential players in the team. So hopefully they can play a bigger part in the second half and take their team to success. But yeah, I think we're in for a good second half. I think the teams haven't shown all what they've got. So I'm sure they've got a few things in the bag to get that last minute win. So we'll see.
Absolutely, and as the teams take to the Astro for the start of the second half, it's wonderful to be here and part of this, this event or this fixture, what is an absolutely true derby in every sense of the word. St John's and King Edward's traditional rivals for over 80 years on the sporting field, but that's a rivalry that I think is based on friendship and respect. And again, as I said earlier, for me this is a celebration of the very best that school sport has to offer. And obviously the result is important, the boys are competitive, but everything is done in the true spirit of sport. Really nice to see these neighbours separated by 1 kilometre, and really great to have the opportunity to commentate at the St Patrick Street Derby, as Ms. Slurton wants us to call it. Fantastic opportunity. So early pressure from St John's in the first half, Daniel?
Yes, it looks like they're correcting or carrying the momentum from the second half into from the first half, into the second. So we'll see if King Edward can gain momentum and calm down their attack.
Right, and again, St John's looking to expose the width of the field. This time, I think, well met by King Edward, who will take possession and start again from the back.
Looks like St John's favour their left-hand side. It's no surprise with their captain being on the left, so looking to get him the ball. And as we speak, he's on the ball and creating some pressure for the defensive line of King Edward.
Quite an inspirational player. He's very forceful. He's very clear about what it is he wants to do with the ball. There's no hesitation, and surely that must provide a lot of confidence and inspiration to the players around him.
Of course, if you have a player that's confident and he backs himself, the players around him can feed off him. And also him making decisive decisions, you're able to play off him. There's nothing worse than having a player a little bit indecisive and then you're not sure what to do.
Right. And there's the King Edward captain, as you mentioned earlier, trying to lead by example, the number 14. A little dejected that the ball ran over the line, but I think very good play for him. Just out of interest, the young man running down in front of us, the number 4, Luke Campbell, he's actually an under-16 boy, so he's early in the first side for King Edwards, much like yourself, Daniel. You started in your under-16 year in the first team.
Yes, it's quite something to be in grade 10 and being playing for the first team. It's also playing out of your age group, because you normally go from grade 8 to grade 10 in your age group, and then grade 11 and 12 is the open. So it's great experience for him, and I'm sure he's enjoying playing top level hockey.
Absolutely, and it'll be very beneficial for him, I think, as he moves forward with his hockey career. King Edwards now with some possession deep in the St John's half, and that was a wonderful opportunity. Ball still being banged around a bit in the D, and then eventually well cleared by Kabelo Mokanyane, the number 18 from St John's. And again, the comment that you made earlier, perhaps King Edward need to just be looking for the simple passes, hold on to the ball a bit, and see if they can build a bit of momentum and pressure from that.
Of course, I think Cares are trying to force it a little bit too much, and not transferring the ball, and having a little bit more patience and waiting for the gap to open up, and not trying to force the gap.
Absolutely. You know, we often refer to the advantage of playing on a home ground. Having played on this Astro many times yourself, Daniel, do you not think sometimes that there's a bit more pressure on a team to perform in front of their home crowd?
There's an aspect of that, but you're also a little bit more comfortable, and the crowd wants you to do well, and they're cheering you on. So it's not something that is too much pressure. But I think you want to do well, so there is that, you put that pressure on yourself, but you do have the support of your school.
Absolutely. There's some great play there by young Connor Esterhuizen, the number 7 from St. John's. Unfortunately, pass intercepted, and then a free hit won by King Edward. And possession now reverts to St. John's, who will start on the right-hand side of the field. Number 15 from St. John's, looking to make a lead there, and that would be for young Tadwa Sitole. Sorry, I've got that name wrong. That's Hayden Israel. St. John's again managing to find a bit of space on the overlap. How would you counter that, Daniel? What would your approach be to make sure that they don't have that sort of space in the wide channels?
Well, for starters, depending on what sort of press Colin's wanting from the Cares boys, but I would start my forwards meeting fronts on to the outside defenders, forcing them inside where you can create a pocket and turn them over. I think at the moment Cares is almost giving them the outside channel, which maybe could work for them, but also St. John's look quite impressive on the outside, so they would maybe look to change that.
Do you think that's part of a deliberate tactic by Coach Fielding, or do you think that's something being exploited by the St. John's coach Eldred?
I think a bit of both. I think it's quite a common tactic to force the players on the outside, because you have that extra defender, the sideline, helping you out. Whereas if you force them on the inside and things go wrong, it's a little tougher to defend.
Right, and there's Connor Esterhuizen, the number 7 from St. John's. He's starting to become something of a handful in the middle of the field.
Yeah, it looks like he's settled, used the first half to get into the game, and now really enjoying the second half.
Great. All right. Great pass there from the number 5 from St. John's, and this is the captain of St. John's again in possession. Tuniron Pele. And the ball goes dead. St. John's will restart. And there is St. John's go again, looking for the width immediately.
I think Cares are starting a little bit too deep, allowing St. John's the easy transfer. I think if the player can be a little bit closer within the 5 meters of the player receiving the ball, it puts him under a little bit more pressure, keeps his head down, and then that pass that's open is a little bit harder to find.
Well, hopefully Coach Fielding is listening to the broadcast and taking some advice from our current South African hockey player, Daniel Bell. Daniel, obviously you are now applying your trade in Belgium with a professional hockey team. Ever had any thoughts of perhaps coaching or getting involved in the junior side of the game?
So while I'm in Belgium and in Europe, I do a little bit of coaching, so I do help out the youth in the club. It's also a nice aspect to get involved in the club a little bit more, and then the younger players know you a little bit better. Being a foreign player, you want to get to know as many people and kind of feel at home in the club. So when you have your little youth team supporting you, it's always nice that's your kind of support.
Well, I shouldn't be surprised to hear you say that, and after all, I am sitting next to a traditional King Edward's man, and and I guess that when you go to a school that espouses the values of participation and involvement, it's no surprise to see you, even though you're a long way away from the end of your career, giving back to your community as well. Well done on that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important to gain or to share the experiences you've learned to the younger players, I've had a few influential coaches and players sharing their experience in the national team, which have helped me in my career. So it's you want to help people while you improve as well. It's not just about trying to climb the ladder as quickly as possible. You also want to help people up.
Absolutely. Right, it was a little bit of pressure there from King Edward, but St John's now through their number 12, young Sean Jacobs. A
like
breakaway
he could go
up
the
the
whole
field. Absolutely. He gets the foot and they'll get the free hit at at that point. So St John's holding possession and building a little more pressure on King Edward. St John's start the game, and there again is that composure and patience, which I'm really enjoying about the hockey at this stage. Players not afraid to actually play backwards and build again. I think that's a great understanding of the sport, and well done to the two coaches.
Yeah, of course. Some coaches get a little bit frustrated when you pass around the back too much and not play forward, but I think St John's and Cares are doing a great job in finding the right balance of control and of some good penetrating passes like that one. Absolutely. Right there.
I think that might actually be the first incomplete pass I've seen the St John's captain take for the day, and just that little drop of the head at that stage speaks volumes of the boy. He clearly is a very driven individual.
Yes, of course. At a high level, as a captain of your team, you wanna have 100% game, almost, if you could say, like a perfect game, which is not always possible. So you're hard on yourself when you make a mistake. But I don't think he'll let that one affect him.
No, he doesn't seem to be that sort of character. St John's disrupted the King Edward's attack, and St John's back in possession, and then the ball rolls over the dead ball line, and King Edward's through Luke Campbell will restart the game. Centre of the field, Joshua Finley making himself available for the pass. Head up for Luke Campbell, looking at the options, and he plays down the line.
Oh, good patience.
Absolutely.
Waiting for the pass to open up. A little bit physical from St John's. King Edward win the free hit.
Right, not the sort of physicality that you'd show as defender there, Daniel. Maybe a little too much. Oh.
Yeah, a little bit too much. And well done to the youngster, Ross Campbell, for winning the penalty corner. Great composure for such a young player in the team, making his debut this year.
Absolutely. And this will be the fourth penalty corner that King Edward's will be taking. Interestingly enough, despite the pressure that St John's have had, they've not yet had a penalty corner in the game. Their goal coming from free play, the King Edward's goal, if you've just joined us, coming early in the first half from a penalty corner. Score currently 1-1. We're at the Weinberg Astro enjoying the My School Live broadcast of the King Edward versus St John's first team hockey fixture. My name is Trevor Dedlow, and I'm joined at the commentary table by Daniel Booth, current South African hockey player. Ball's injected and stopped there. Well, Crispin McKenzie misses the ball, but King Edward still in possession, and perhaps they can turn this into something.
Oh, unfortunate there. Just a mistrap at the penalty corner. It's always unfortunate when you mistrap it. I think that it's getting a little bit hot and the ball's bouncing a little bit more, so it's a little bit more tricky to stop the ball. But good pressure from St John's to also not allow King Edward back in the circle after the mistrap.
Just talking about the heat, Daniel, I'm told that playing on a sand-based Astro when it starts to get hot is not as great as playing when it's cool. Apparently the Astro gets a bit sticky and the ball doesn't roll as well.
Yes, it's always a tricky one. Your stick kind of gets caught in the Astro a little bit, and the ball tempo drops a little bit. So playing those longer balls over distance become a little bit more tricky. It looks like we have a card here for the St John's player.
All right, and that was a green card, I'll take it.
Yes, for Murray Dittmar.
All right, he's been quite an influential player, the number 4 from St John's. I'm sure they'll miss him for the time that he is off the field. Okay, and unfortunately pass not completed there by King Edward. Keegan Robinson pushing it out to the side to Michael van den Berg, but St John's take possession and they'll restart from the back. Good high press from King Edward. It's a little higher than we saw in the first half, Daniel.
Yes, I think they're looking to take advantage of the extra man, so putting St John's under as much pressure as possible, trying to get something out of being a man up for the 2 minutes.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. And how would St John's respond to this, being a man down? Would there be a change in tactics and structure?
I think so. Normally, you would lose your free man, so you would go almost in a 3-3-3 formation. Normally you have, as a defender, you normally have a free man just to clean up around the back. So they'd probably lose that player and kind of rely on their 1-versus-1 defense.
Great, and King Edward again in possession here, so they now have a little bit more room and perhaps can make use of the advantage of having that one man extra. Ball lifted there by Ian Crawshaw, and it looks like the free hit has gone to King Edward. Your take on that, Daniel?
I think it was previously fouled before he lifted the ball, so the umpire just taking it back to where the hit was.
Right. And then the ball lost by King Edward. St John's will start again through Kabelo Mokanyana at the back. Again, we see the higher press from King Edward. Luke Campbell now putting some pressure on young Vermeulen, and possession reverts to King Edward.
Good pressure, just unfortunate to make a double turnover. I know coaches don't enjoy the double turnover, but just kids need to take a little bit more charge and find that extra player.
And just from with your experience, explain perhaps to the viewers not familiar with the double turnover. I think we all know the turnover in rugby, but maybe an explanation in hockey.
Well, a double turnover is once you've turned over the ball, so you've gained possession, you give possession away directly. So it's just like a double transfer in possession. So you're wanting to, when you win possession, to keep it for a little bit longer than a few seconds.
You can see also a slight change in the tempo of St John's with a man down, clearly wanting to make sure that they're not damaged while their players off the field.
Yeah. It looks like Murray's back on the pitch now, so they have that even numbers now. So they'll be looking to put Cares under a little bit more pressure. Cares unsuccessful to get a result with being a man up. Good intercept.
Right. Ian Crawshaw on the ball. Right, and still going, is going to have to play hard with that one, and unfortunately comes off the foot. King Edward will retain possession. I see we have number 13, young Ryan Cant on the field. He's another young boy who's currently an under 16. He's been playing regularly with the first team, but certainly an up-and-coming talent.
Yes, of course. I played with his brother Stephen, and Stephen and I, we also played in the national team together. So it's great to see his brother doing well on a stage that we performed on as well.
Right, and King Edward appear to have won another short corner. Hopefully on this, their fifth attempt, they can manage to convert it. What would you expect to see in this one? They've been unsuccessful in the last three.
I think they've struggled with the stop. So first of all, stop the ball at the top of the circle. And then because the turf's a little bit more sticky and it's getting a little bit hot, maybe look for a variation like they did in the first half to get that deflection. Maybe look to attack the right-hand side of the goal.
Looks like Warren Thiel will inject for King Edwards, and it looks like Crispin McKenzie is going to stop with Michael Vandenberg, the captain, behind him, and then just off to his right, another option.
Oh, some great first wave running by the St. John's player.
What was the number there, Daniel?
It was number 18. Number 18
right.
from St. John's.
Number 18.
Kabelo. Really doing well there. He's also quite a young player in the team, and it's great to see him doing quite well at such a high level.
Absolutely. I think the thing that really inspires me with these kids, you know, when you consider the fact that most of these boys are also occupying positions in A teams of cricket, and I see with the St. John's boys, we've got boys involved in golf and music and all kinds of diverse activities, and I think again, what a wonderful advertisement for South African school sport. I guess we do to a large extent really produce complete young men, and you know, and I think that involvement in other activities can only lead them to greater things when they choose to specialize in a sport.
Of course, I think South Africans, we're very talented, and it's nice to have an all-round experience in terms of sports, academics, and even culture, and even.
Well,
unfortunately, AB de Villiers' retirement. He was also an SA Schools hockey player.
absolutely.
So you can see that talent coming through.
Correct. I just I hope there were no Welsh supporters watching this broadcast and with us bragging about our talent. They might mete out some form of Welsh justice in America this afternoon.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, if you've just joined us, we're into the second half. 18 minutes left on the clock between King Edward's and St John's. Welcome to the My School Live broadcast of this particular fixture. Currently, the scores are locked at 1-1. St John's enjoying a little bit of possession at this stage, and the ball reverts to King Edward. In possession, Michael van den Berg and Bile Selepe, who manages to find a St John's foot. As correction on that, I appear to have got some of the players' names wrong in that last interchange.
Here's putting some St John's under some good pressure in their left-hand corner, forcing the player to hit it up the field. Good turnover by King Edward.
You say good turnover there, Daniel. You know very clearly the ball's travelled the length of the field, so King Edward do have possession, but they've got to start again deep in their own half.
I guess it's a form of breaking St John's momentum, not having the ball. Now Cares are retained possession, and yes, we're starting again, but St John's haven't had the ball for a few phases of the game, so they'll be under a little bit more pressure and just doing the defensive work and not having the ball and not getting that reward.
Fair enough. Young Josh Finley on the ball. He's another one of the fairly talented King Edward's boys, also going to be part of the A side and in the provincial IPT tournament. And I'm led to believe that a South African junior team will be touring to Australia later this year after the IPTs.
Yes, I think after their respective interprovincial tournaments, SA Schools team will be selected, and they will play against Australia, which is a great experience for the youngsters. Australia being ranked in the top in the world, it's nice to rank yourself up at this age and see how you do.
Fantastic. King Edward again with a higher press this time, and seems to have borne fruit as they turn over possession, and they'll start again deep in the St John's half. Ian Crawshaw on the ball, plays it back to Crispin McKenzie. Crispin McKenzie taking on perhaps just one man too many, and the ball taken away by St John's.
Oh, great tackle.
All right, that's number 14, Christopher Tennick. Some committed play from him.
It's nice to see that passion from the schoolboys.
All to play for.
Of course.
At this stage, 14 minutes left in the game.
It would be nice to see a winner in the game. I know such a rivalry, you want to have a winner, and you don't want to almost share the rewards.
Well, stepping away from the neutrality of commentators for a second, of course, as old boys, I guess we're backing the team in red.
Of course. Doing some secret hand signals to Colin to help him out.
Although I think Daniel is as a national hockey player, very, very close miss there by St John's. But I think as a national hockey player, I'm pretty sure that you'd be inspired by good hockey, and wouldn't mind taking a loss as an old boy as long as the other side were definitely better.
No, of course. At the end of the day, you want hockey to do well, and you want the players to be rewarded for their skills. So you want the better team on the day to win, and not have that regret at the end, knowing that you should have come away with the victory.
Very nice balanced approach from Daniel. Thank you very much for that. St John's again building a bit of pressure on King Edward. Great, and that's the number 15 from St John's, plays the ball out wide. Good defending by Luke Campbell.
He's done really well in the second half, really owning his channel and making some crucial tackles and also contributing going forward. So great to see from the youngster.
Absolutely. Nice to see from Raul Rijkaard there. Didn't have any options, so he looked for the foot, resets play, and just allows them to reset again.
Of course, that's so crucial. It's instead of forcing a pass or something, just getting the hit, resetting, taking a breath, and being able to set up into the structure again.
Good play from St John's, clearing it out of their D, and they move forward into the King Edward half. Unfortunately, pass is incomplete, and King Edward will take possession. Number 3 from King Edward, Ian Crawshaw, plays the overhead down the left-hand side of the field. Daniel, with that possession now revert to King Edward.
Yes, as you can see, we spoke about the rule of the 5-meter rule on the overhead. The King Edward player didn't try to play the ball. He allowed the St John's player to receive it, and unfortunately the St John's player mistrapped it, and Kez won a long corner.
And passing complete there from Joshua Finley to Michael Vandenberg, and St John's take the possession. All to play for here, still 1-1 between these two traditional great rivals, and it'll be interesting to see how the remainder of the second half plays out. Josh Finley on the ball, Michael Vandenberg plays back to Josh Finley, and he runs into some heavy traffic but gets the free hit.
A player who we haven't seen do well at the moment is Tumi. I think he might be a little bit tired, or maybe resetting to finish off strong. He's had a great first half and looking to see what he can do in the dying moments.
You're quite right. I think Rampede was absolutely instrumental in the first half of the game, and I think to a large extent galvanised St John's with his forceful play. And quite right, he hasn't been much of a presence in the second half at this stage. Luke Campbell again demonstrating some good skill and awareness, plays the ball off to Michael Vandenberg. Michael Vandenberg looking to hug the touchline and come down to the byline.
And great work by the captain, using his pace down the outside and winning a penalty corner for his team.
Great. This will be the 6th penalty corner from King Edward. Of course, their one game in the goal has come from the second penalty corner that they took. And let's see if they will try a different variation on this one.
I think St John's will be confident in defending this penalty corner. They've stopped quite a few of Kez's attacks, so I'm sure they'll be confident, and Kez feeling the pressure of not converting. So we'll see what they have to offer.
Fantastic. Just looking at the screen here to see that we even have viewers from as far as the Gold Coast of Australia. Somebody who says watching his nephew in this great derby. Really nice to see the support that South African school sport still gets from people all over the world. For these young men, obviously, these are extremely big games and very important to them. Tried for the variation there, and I thought quite a good variation. I think St John's didn't quite have that defended.
Looks like Kez really execute that variation really well. The slip left for a deflection on the far post or the stroke punt. So we'll see if they do it again, the double bluff again, or try something different.
Looking at the replay on that, Daniel, perhaps a nice lesson that you could maybe pass on to some of our junior hockey players, from the two schools. What really struck me there was it was the fact that the boys weren't attempting to hit the ball as hard as possible. So there was, and there's a goal from King Edward, converted. Let's watch the replay. Looks like Stephen Bile Selepe who got that goal. King Edward take the lead 2-1. Michael Vandenberg injects.
Good push, good stop, and a nice low hard drag flick to the pusher coming in for the deflection. So really well done.
It was actually Raul Rijkaard who got the goal, the number 15. Just back to the point I was making, too often you see, I think the little boys, believe you've got to hit the ball out of its covers if you want to get anything. And what we saw in those two penalty corners was, a little bit more of a gentle, deft touch and control.
Of course, I think especially for a variation, you're looking to have more control over the ball. So taking a little bit more pace and power out of it allows you to control and be more accurate in your passing, especially when you're looking to connect with one of your players in the circle.
Josh Finley on the ball now. Great play from Josh Finley, bit of a bluff, and unfortunately he's lost possession. St John's obviously now will be pushing the game. There's just over 2 minutes left, and currently King Edward leading 2-1. And some pressure, number 13 in St John's, dispossessed, and that was young Nick Halstead-Cleek. King Edward's in possession in the middle of the field. Ball played forward. Well defended by St John's.
It's great to see that Kes are still wanting to get another goal, even though they're 2-1 up with a few minutes to go. It's showing their confidence and backing themselves, which is great to see. Playing some good hockey.
Absolutely, and one of the things I've learned about hockey, Dan, is that the game is not over until that final whistle goes. I've seen plenty of games in which teams have scored 2 goals in the last minute.
Of course, I think the most remarkable one was Germany against New Zealand at the Olympics. I think they were 2 or 3 goals down in the last 3 minutes, and they eventually won it in the last second. So it's not over until the whistle goes.
It's one of the elements that makes the game so exciting. I think many people don't understand. I think the skill level required and the conditioning and fitness required. King Edward in a very good position in the D here, and even if they don't convert, they're keeping pressure up in the St John's half. And now with just over a minute to go, it'll all be about keeping St John's out in that last minute.
It looks like there's some worried faces in the stands there, with your boy playing on the field. Knowing, being a spectator, it's quite tough when you can't do anything.
Absolutely. All right, great intercept there by Warren Thiel. St John's managed to get the ball through, and we were talking about young Rampele. Now would be the moment for the young man to step up and reassert his dominance of the first half.
I think so. You can see him putting pressure on the ball. St John's just gaining possession.
Right. Great play there by King Edward, trying to be forceful and keep the ball in the St John's half. And here we have Rampele on the ball, well defended by Ian Crawshaw from King Edward.
We're going to the last 30 seconds of the match.
The last thing you want to do here, surely, is give away just what they've done, a short corner. Talk us through this. What's going through your mind at this point, Daniel?
I think the pressure builds up, and you think you have to make a tackle that you don't need to make. So it's just staying calm and level-headed, and that's something you learn through experience. But I'm sure he won't make that mistake again.
And for your teammates, a few of the players given away the short corner with time up on the clock. How do you feel? Do you tend to let your head go down at that point, or?
To be honest, I think you kind of just have to play the game out, and you can chat about the things afterwards. But yeah, you can't let that affect your game, because that's when a goal comes against.
See the umpire having some words there with King Edward and St John's just before this short corner. This will be the final play of the game. Time is now officially up. King Edward leading 2-1. And what has been an absolutely magnificent display of the very best that 2 of the top South African schools have to offer in terms of sport. Wonderfully supported by parents and old boys and schoolboys, and an absolutely lovely morning here at King Edward. St John's with their first short corner of the game, and they managed to convert.
Quite amazing. One penalty corner, 1 goal. I think they'll be angry at themselves for not getting more penalty corners throughout the game. But well done to St John's for equalising in the last second.
Right, and not quite sure who scored that. I think it might be young Ditmar from St John's. And interesting to see that the game has ended 2-2, and yet we have boys who look absolutely devastated.
Yeah, as I said earlier, you want to win these games. It's not, as sportsmen, you want to win.
Talk us through the replay here, Daniel.
As we go, it's by Ramapele, the captain, showing what he's got at the last few seconds, going a hard drag flick in the bottom right-hand corner. So really well done to him, and I think he stood out today.
He did. I think a fine player. I think some very, very good play from all the boys on both sides. A game that was, if I'm not mistaken, produced 1 card, played in absolutely great spirit, and really nice to see the scenes on the Astro now with the boys congratulating. As you said, many of them will be good friends, and they'll move on to play in the IPT together.
Yes, of course. As you said, there's a lot of respect between the schools, so obviously you give it your all, but you also, after the game, you thank each other for a hard match, and you look on to the next one.
Having played at the highest level, Daniel, if you cast your mind back to games like this when you perhaps didn't get the result that you wanted and that heartbreak at that point.
It's quite frustrating and disappointing, and it takes some time to get over it. But you just need to take the positives, learn from the mistakes, and move on. You can't harp in the past, so you have to move on and grow.
And of course, being a national hockey player, having played at at the Commonwealth Games and in Africa Cups, I guess you could pass the lesson on to these boys that at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Life carries on.
Yes, exactly. One of my under-15 coaches, Mr. Bragan, he told me that the sun will rise tomorrow, so head up and move on.
Mr. Bragan was always a very bright man. He's currently deputy principal at KEPS at the moment. He's come back to us. Nice to see now the boys lining up in front of their supporters. We have St. John's to our left and King Edward to the right, and they will express their appreciation for the support and allow the school to express their appreciation for their efforts on the field.
I want to thank Kes for a lovely fixture.
It's great to see the mutual respect between the schools.
Absolutely. Captain of St. John's thanking King Edward for the fixture. Lovely gesture.
Yeah, definitely a standout player and one for the future.
Get the result you wanted,
absolutely.
I'm very proud of the boys.
Daniel, your take on your time spent playing at King Edward. Do you think it prepared you adequately for your role in the national squad?
I think so. I learned a lot at King Edward in terms of just more the mindset, what it takes to be a top player. As you can hear, get outspoken by St. John's School on the left. Yeah, so I think it's just made me into the player that I am today, with the mindset, the dedication and the passion, which has taken me through. Might have not been the most skillful when I started my career, but just through hard work and perseverance, I've gotten to where I am today.
Oh, fantastic. And having waited respectfully for St. John's to do their war cry, it now becomes King Edward's turn. And again, the appreciation from the players for the support from the younger boys in the school, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And now it'll be an opportunity for the school to celebrate together.
Of course.
A very traditional war cry from a proud school, and I think perhaps that 2-2 scoreline may be an accurate reflection of the game.
I think so. I think both teams had moments of dominance, and yeah, they took their chances. Maybe left one or two out there, but I think they can be happy with the way they played and the manner that they went about doing it.
Any players on display today, having watched the full game, that you think might perhaps emulate Daniel Bell's footsteps?
Oh, I'm sure that the players would want to make their own career, but I'm sure that both captains from the two respective teams did really well. Ross Campbell is very impressive, Luke Campbell, sorry, was very impressive and is quite a one for the future. So I'd like to see how he develops. And yeah, I think is quite a good match, and I think there was a lot of players that put their hands up, and we can't mention them all, but they all did really well.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Daniel, and great. Thank you very much, and thanks for listening to the My School live broadcast of the King Edward versus St. John's first team hockey match. Full-time score 2-2. Have a great afternoon. Cheerio, Daniel.
Cheers, Trevor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.